with the case. Now, let me try to work this up in a way that can entice and appeal you. So, we would like to talk about cases that are, some of them are local, but a lot of them we want to do like international cases. Talk about some that's not really known. But so if you hear a few in here, you're like, I know these cases. Well, they're not really known by a lot of people. So that's why we want to cover them, because why not talk about them and shed light on them, you know? And if we can help like people look into cold cases or just shed light on things that happen, that's what we want to do. It's really for fun. Mm-hmm. You know, we have a lot of plans that we want to do on this channel, so we hope that you'll watch over us. You can check us out on Spotify, Two Girls with the Case. If you're listening in on Spotify, you can check us out on YouTube at Two Girls with the Case. And so our typical idea is to do a show where like one of us talks and the other just listens and feedback. But today, since I got to come and see my girl, we decided to make it a double special one, especially because it's for Valentine's Day, which is right around the corner. So I'm going to let her take over first and do her case. Then I'm going to do mine. I also want to caution you, I do want to do edits and like animations. I love stick figures. So if you don't want to watch the animations, you've been warned. All right, baby girl.
All right, so today we are going to touch base on the case of Jasmine Fiore. So Jasmine Fiore was a 28-year-old model. She had done like bikini models, body paint, things of those sorts. And so about March of 2009 in Vegas, Jasmine met a man by the name of Ryan Jenkins. And 2 days later, they were married.
Dang, 2 days?
2 days. Mm-hmm. 2 days. And so, fast forward about 3 months later, Jasmine calls the cops on Ryan. So Ryan essentially, he had shoved her arm, and she essentially fell into the pool. Mm-mm. And according to her mother, they had been arguing, quite a bit. And Ryan was also a bit jealous of the relationship she had in her life, like with her friends, with her ex-boyfriends, and she was like, amicable.
Yeah.
Ryan didn't like that too much.
She was possessive.
Yes. And according to Ryan's father, we'll get into him in a minute, but Ryan's father stated that Jasmine was essentially his only friend there in California. Now, a little background info, Ryan is originally from Canada. But yes, so now let's fast forward to August of 2009, so about 5 months after they're married. Jasmine and Ryan are down in San Diego, and they're attending a charity poker event. So the camera footage catches them leaving this location about 2:30 in the morning. They go out to a club. About 4:30 in the morning, Ryan returns to their hotel alone. Ooh. And about 2 or 3 days later, Ryan reports Jasmine missing. He's like, we came back from San Diego. She dropped me off at our condo, and then she went to go run off errands. That was the last I've seen of her.
But you married her? Sketchy.
Very sketchy. And about a day or two after that, Jasmine's car was found abandoned in a parking lot. And so, at this point, Ryan heads out to Nevada to go pick up one of his speedboats. Police contact him saying, hey, questioning type of thing. And then about another day or two after that, a body was found stuffed into a suitcase that was then placed into a dumpster.
Oh my God.
And this body was mutilated to the point where identifying it was a problem. Fingers, teeth were removed.
Oh my God.
They brutalized her body. And about a day or two after that, they were able to identify the body using the serial number on the breast implants and confirm that it was indeed Jasmine.
I'd be mad from the grave.
And the cause of death was actually confirmed to be strangulation. At this point, Ryan's up in Washington. Ryan's headed to Canada, or he's originally from Canada, but police are now like, well, police in Washington are on alert looking for him. The Canadian police are also alerted to keep an eye out from him because they're projecting, like, yeah, he's going to cross the border into Canada.
Yeah.
About a day or so after that, camera footage captures him at a hotel. A woman is with him, and it turns out that woman is like his half-sister, I believe. They check into a hotel. They're there for a little bit, and then the sister leaves. And then Ryan's there. A couple of days go by in checkout time. Nobody's checked out. Hotel manager goes, to see like if they're okay. He finds that Ryan ultimately took his own life. And so Jasmine's mother also stated, they argued a lot. Ryan was a charmer though. Ryan could charm the pants off somebody if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so while this unfortunate situation has unfolded, Ryan was also on a reality TV show. It's called Megan Wants a Millionaire. Now,
Megan dodged a bullet.
Megan, oh my goodness, Megan. About two or three episodes had been aired at this point, but after police had kind of confirmed that Ryan was indeed the suspect, VH1 pulled it. It was no longer on the air. It is archived. Nobody can really find these episodes. Now, Megan, before Megan had her own show, she was actually featured on Bret Michaels' Rock of Love. VH1 was just great.
They had some shows.
I know. But on one of her interviews, Megan had stated that when it got down, I believe, to like the last three, she had wanted to choose Ryan. The producers were like, no, you can't pick Ryan because Ryan doesn't have money. But she actually had I guess the rules of these shows where it's like, you're not supposed to have an outside relationship with them per se until I guess after it ends.
Yeah.
But they had each other's numbers. They were texting, they were talking with each other. Megan said, she's really charmed by this guy, and she had even told him, it's like, I want to pick you. I'm going to choose you. And well, I'm not sure who she actually chose because they didn't air it ultimately. Mm-hmm. And on that same note, Ryan was also featured on I Love Money 3, but because everything essentially transpired before it had been aired, out of respect for Jasmine's family, neither of the shows were aired after that.
That's so sad.
It's just a completely unfortunate situation.
It really is because, not only did you take somebody else's life, but you didn't even feel the need to atone. You just, to me, you took the easy way out because now you can't really be held to the full accountability.
Yeah. He didn't pay for his crime. Unfortunately, Jasmine's family didn't get the justice that Jasmine truly deserved.
Right. There was never any full closure. They didn't even get to ask dude why. Well, did they ever even get to talk to him?
I believe that he left a note on his laptop. I don't know what the contents of that note stated. But yes.
That's just so sad, man. And he was just, so how did he end up on reality shows? Did he just...
I think he had been... I guess he had auditioned for a couple of them. And then I guess personality-wise, he was just charming enough. And they're like, yeah, this guy. But...
Yeah. And so, did he like have any like priors or like any kind of red flags about him?
Okay, so actually, the policy for these reality TV shows is that whoever the contestants are, whoever's going to be on this show, there is a policy of like a background investigation, and they're not just going to let anybody like come on the show,
because you could be like popping bullets.
From what I've read, VH1 actually had a prior investigation firm like run background checks on all these contestants, and Ryan passed. However, things later on came to light that while they did do a background check on Ryan, it was only U.S. like investigation wise. Like this was not an international background check. Now Ryan's originally from Canada. A couple of years prior to Ryan marrying Jasmine, he had actually had a domestic violence case up in Calgary, Canada. That he had, and had this investigation firm caught that, Ryan would have never made it onto those shows.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if only they would have. And I mean, it's not really their fault because we go by different rules. Like when I was working under daycare, I only had to get background check like in Texas. They didn't really care, like about the other states. So that's so sad. Well, rest in peace to Ryan and Miss Baby Girl. What was her name? Jasmine. It's so sad. That is, I mean,
this case ultimately it kind of changed reality TV. It was like the rules and policies henceforth, like when airing things. It really shined a larger light onto that, and then things were definitely changed after that.
I mean, it's good on one hand, but then it kind of also makes me think about, like how they have all these like sexy criminals from the mug shots and stuff. Like, back then they wanted to change policies to protect people, but now it seems like any and everybody has a show, and it's like you should not be promoting these things, So that's such a wild case.
And Megan, this case ultimately, like, it didn't give Megan, I guess, the reality TV career that maybe she would have been going for it. Because it canceled out her shows, and it just didn't give her,
So did she ever get to like do anything else with herself, or?
I believe she's done some other things, but not with reality TV. I think that's just kind of
like her career just
that portion kind of ended.
Not only that, but can you imagine like getting involved with this guy and you believe he is like the one, and then you find out after the fact like he's did all these heinous things, and oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I would just, no. All right, well, let's jump on into my case. So the one I'm going to talk about is the case of Sherri Rasmussen. I call it a scorned lover case. To me, it's a valuable lesson of like why you need to be careful who you invest time in, because everything about this case just made me mad. So I'm gonna set up a scene. So it was it was February 24th, 1986. A man named John Rudden came home to find his wife dead. Yes, there had been like a handprint on the wall, like he had been calling home. She hadn't picked up that day, and apparently he felt real nervous about it. And so when he got home and found her dead, he's like, obviously something went amiss. Now, a lot of neighbors had told the police they heard fighting that day and commotion, but they never called it in. And so to me, that was already like, okay, but if you hear these things, why
not call the
police? Like at least a wellness check, like it doesn't hurt to be safe. But so the police came, they ruled it as a burglary. She had been shot in the chest and in the face 3 times, and she had a bite mark on her. So the police said that it was a burglary gone wrong, and essentially they closed the case. Like, they didn't really have any leads. The only thing that was missing was her car and her marriage license, which I feel like right then and there,
an immediate red flag.
Right, because
also with those injuries, that honestly sounds a bit personal.
Right, because you're gonna bite me. First of all, you're gonna bite me, and then you're gonna take my marriage license. You know, like, I would have immediately been like,
all things to take during a burglary. What importance is this marriage license?
Right, in the car, like, and then the car was, stashed, so it's like, well, obviously it didn't hold that much importance to you to discard it off, to the side. So it was shut down, and then it was re-looked at by a criminal examiner whose name, I want to say I have it up in here. Let me see. Yes, Jennifer Francis found missing evidence in 2004. It was a cotton swab that had DNA on it. Now, the case was closed and ruled as a burglary. It just went cold from 86 on up. So in 2004, it was back opened up, and that's when she discovered...
About 18 years later.
Yes. And that's when she discovered that the father to Sherri had been telling the police, you need to check into Stephanie Lazarus. For 7 years, he asked detectives to check into her, and they never did. Now, we're gonna pause.
Very lazy.
Yeah, we're gonna pause on that. So let's jump back. Stephanie Lazarus, she met John in college. They both went to the University of California. At the time, he was a medical engineer, and she actually went to college for political science. So they kind of had a relationship, but like the physicalities, the doing of one another was not commenced until after college. Okay. But even then, it was more like an open relationship, just like friends with benefits, like never anything serious. So John ends up meeting this beautiful Sherri, and this man waits. He goes to Stephanie's 25th birthday, and there's when he tells her, we can't do this anymore because I found somebody else. Like, that's a low blow in itself, because
the timing's not
her birthday.
The time. So like and hey, I'm with someone on her birthday.
On her birthday. Not only this, but me in general, whenever I think about those relationships, it's like you had to know somebody was gonna catch feelings. Yes. And if you're supposed to start off as a friend, how can you just hurt somebody like that? Or like, you could have had this conversation a day before or a day after her birthday, but
the timing was just completely off.
Drop the ball. So apparently Stephanie was so upset about this, she wrote his mother a letter saying like she didn't understand why he did this. Yes, she feels like he's making a bad decision, and she didn't want it to end like this. And I'm just like, that's a bit much. That is a bit much. And so apparently he had revealed to her that him and Sherri were getting serious, like he wanted to marry this lady. And she had confessed to him like she loved him. Pretty much, yeah. And so, like, after this is going on, she basically made herself like a third party in their relationship. She would show up unannounced. I'm talking about stalking these people. She would stalk Sherri, and John would just tell Sherri, like, calm down, like, just ignore her, she'll go away. And I'm just like, you should have done more as like a partner,
Was there like a restraining order put into place?
No.
The police was never involved.
The police was never involved. But apparently Sherri would tell her mother and father like everything homegirl was saying to her. Me personally, I would have got a restraining order. Or she would have gotten threatened back like, this is mine, so you're gonna have to go away. So the last time that they interacted, I guess when he was like, you need to step off, she was like, well, can we go at it one last round? This is before the wedding. And he's like, yeah, let's have it a go. And I'm just like, John, what are you doing, Mr. Rutten? Because if you are not invested in a woman, why would you willingly go back and lay with her? because you know how she's treating your soon-to-be wife.
He wanted to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, and that's not fair to Sherri because you're pulling her into something deeper, and this lady is stalking you and harassing you, and you're still like, yeah, I want to get in the bed with the devil.
Recipe for disaster.
Right. I don't understand how he thought that anything could go well. And so 2 days later, after they did the deed, she went to Sherri's job and was like, 2 days ago, me and your fiance, we went toe to toe. And you need to know if I can't have him, nobody can.
It's a dangerous pair of words right there.
Right. Not only that, but the audacity to come to my job.
Security, remove this woman off my premises.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
I would, especially because Sherri, I wrote down notes on her. Sherri was this high up nurse. She was the director of nursing. She's a nurse. Like, she's not hurting anybody.
I mean, that's a great career.
Right. You know, she was a bright, sweet lady. Everybody loved her, you know, and apparently she was afraid of Stephanie. Like, she even questioned Mary and John because she's like, I can't deal with this lady. And John's like, no, like, just overlook her. It's going to be fine. Like, I'm going to protect you. And so, with all that reassurance, she did the deed. And she got married. So let's talk a little bit more about Stephanie. So after this murder is done. Oh, so first let me say, one day she was in the house actually when Steph came home. And she claimed that she was waiting for John. But even still, you're picking locks and you're coming into people's houses. You don't have no business. Yeah, like, you should not be there. So she ends up becoming a detective after this. She starts working her way up through art theft. That's where she finds her shtick. So this lady ends up marrying another detective named Scott Young. So this kind of just stumped me because it's like, if you knew you were gonna marry again or move on, why did you kill her? Like, what was your game? You know what I'm saying? Like,
jealousy at the most home.
I know, but even if you were jealous, you could have just still went and got with Scott. It just...
Some people take it to a completely different level.
That is true.
Unfortunately.
This girl, she adopted a daughter. She had the family that Sherri couldn't have. You know, and then she survived cancer, thyroid cancer. And I'm like, you would think, like, with the grace of God, that you would just change your ways, you know, but I digress. She was the treasurer for the LA Women's Police Officer Association for 5 years, and she had her own private firm called Unique Investigators. She committed a murder, and she opened up her own private firm and was like, we're out here doing the thing. She got recognized in April 2009 for, like, all her good deeds and stuff, and like being like head of her crime division. And she went on the record to say, like, the art theft is what inspired her to become an oil painter. So she took up oil painting, yes, and was just living her life. She moved from LA, so they all lived in Los Angeles, Van Nuys. But then she left out of LA and moved to another part of California. And so after this, like I said, your homegirl Jennifer was like, this is not mathing. The math ain't mathing. So when she went back and reviewed the files, she was like, did anybody ever follow up with the dad who kept telling y'all, like, to look into Stephanie? And they were like, no. And so they tried to blame it on, like, all the epidemics and the crime with drugs and stuff going on. But there is speculation, which I kind of believe that they just wanted to cover it up for her sake. Because if she's this decorated officer, you know, that's rising up in the ranks, of course they're not going to want to just out her like that, you know? And apparently she was, like, such a good officer that even when they were uncovering the facts about her, they had to do it in secrecy because they knew if they alerted her, she had people to back her up, like
to cover it all up.
Yeah, and they knew that it was staged just because it had that Jennifer and the rest that was looking at it thought that it was really weird that she was bitten, because if it's a burglary, why are you biting people?
What is the motive to bite somebody if you're just trying to rob them?
Exactly. So when her name came up, that she actually was out drinking something in public and she threw away the styrofoam cup, they sneakily went and got the cup, and that is when they tested her DNA and found out it was a match.
Oh.
And so they brought her in for questioning about the case, and she realized what they were asking her, and she was like, no, I want to leave, like, I'm not doing this.
She realized they were onto her immediately.
Yes. So then they asked her for her gun, and she denied and tried to leave the station, and that's what got her locked up. And I am like, Stephanie. And so, not Stephanie, yes, Stephanie. And so she was convicted of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to jail to 27 years. And she's tried to appeal 7 times, but each time it has gotten denied. Now, let me just say the gall and gumption of her and John, because even after it happened, the last time that they were involved with each other, it was after Sherri had died, and they managed to go another round. And not only that, but she's married, and you're just out here. And even then, y'all didn't get together, rekindle, no flame past that. So it is like, this was just a sad and unnecessary case. And the only reason she met her end is because she didn't want to go to work that day. She called out sick, said she had a back injury. She just wanted to rest. And so she stayed at home. And like the police even said, she was in like a bathrobe and stuff. So whoever did it, she obviously...
They caught her by surprise.
Yeah, like she was not expecting it. And so apparently when Stephanie picked the lock, that's what caught her off guard because, she wasn't suspecting her. So they argued or whatever, and she ran from her. Well, Stephanie didn't like that. So Stephanie caught up with her, but Sherri put her in like a stronghold. And that's how she got bit, because Stephanie bit her in order for Sherri to let her go. And when she let her go, Stephanie picked up a vase and smashed it into her head. And so then from there, she got a blanket, tied it around the revolver, and, did the deed. And it's just like, I don't understand her, because you took somebody's life, but then you had the nerve to get remarried and adopt a kid. But you took all of that from another woman. And like the audacity to even help out women's police. She even opened up a daycare for the kids of the women who worked at the police department. So you wanted to love on them, but because you were so jealous behind this girl trying to live her best life, you just, you know what I'm saying? So yes, but John did apologize to the family in court. He said he felt really guilty that somebody he knew did this, which, yes, I feel his remorse, but at the same time, it's like, you knew she was stalking her. Like, you did nothing to protect her past faulty reassurance.
Right.
He
did nothing in terms of protecting his wife from somebody so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because in his mind, it wasn't as important.
And to me, that feeds into the whole, like, once again, I don't understand those relationships, because somebody, Luna, it's okay, baby girl, somebody will catch feelings, And so it's like, you had to know what you were doing while you were doing it. So yeah, we're going to call this episode Lover's Betrayal, because I feel betrayed for Sherri. Like, you did not deserve to meet that. I feel betrayed for Miss Jasmine, because you didn't deserve to go out like that. Like, you deserved more than what you got.
Oh, and Jasmine, she also had recently obtained her real estate license. She, wanted to have, like, a lucrative career in real estate. And Ryan just took all future possibilities from her.
He really does stamp the mark to Dev do his part, and that's such a sad pun. But we're gonna get it together, okay? This is our first episode.
There's some bloopers in here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna get better at this. First episodes always start out rough, so we're just feeling the hang of
And
things.
if you hear some like awkward groaning in the background, that is my dog.
Yes, that's my niece. She does not like the fact that she's not getting love right now. And it's understandable. But we hope you guys will stick around with us in general on this channel. We plan to start up another series here in a few months or weeks whenever we can get this one down and stationed the way we want. So we hope you guys will continue to watch over us.
Hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes, if you did, if you're watching on YouTube, please leave us. Yes, subscribe, give us some comments.
Give us your input, your feedback.
Yeah, did you know about these cases? Because, baby, this one threw me for 2 loops, okay? Hula loops. If there's any cases you guys would like to hear or see us talk about, please let us know. Yes, we will look into it. We will do our best. We are going to try to do it with, like, every other episode. So next week she'll take over. Then after that I'll do one and switch back like that. And when we can link up, we will do them in person together. But I'm thinking maybe like Skypes or Zoom sessions. If I can record it like that, it'll be nice. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening in. We have been your hosts, Victavia
and Marissa.
And we love you guys. And until next time, we have been 2 girls with a case. Goodbye, guys.